Hey there and welcome back to another Marvel video. And recently we saw the long-awaited release of the first trailer for the upcoming Disney Plus original series, Ms. Marvel, which tells the story of Kamala Khan, a young teen who dreams of becoming a superhero and is apparently considered cringe for thinking superheroes are awesome. And this is in a world that superheroes actually exist in, so I'm not sure how that could be considered cringe when they literally save the world on the regular and are just all around awesome. I mean, it's not like they're fictional characters in universe. They exist. They're cool, they're popular. So yeah, the premise feels a little bit shaky in that regard, but I think I can suspend my disbelief enough to sort of ignore that little plot bump. But regardless, for the most part, I think this trailer was actually really interesting. And so today, I want to work my way through it and give my thoughts on both the plot and just the general vibes I'm getting from it. So usually I go through the trailer scene by scene and talk about what I see. But I think today I just want to talk about what really stood out to me. Because there really wasn't all that much about the plot in depth just yet. It's more just setting up the tone of the show and showing off the character. And so, with all that being said, let's jump into the breakdown. So first up, I just really liked the general vibe of the trailer. The thought bubbles, the speech bubbles, the devil horns. It really felt like a throwback to those 2000s shows like Lizzie McGuire. Or for those Australians watching, shows like Mortified. It's presented almost like a diary entry, with the character the protagonist likes and dislikes clearly shown on screen. And whilst this kind of visual device was used heavily in the trailer, I'm curious to see as to whether they actually maintain that sort of stylistic choice going forward. This show definitely feels like it's being marketed to younger audiences to give them a hero they can grow up alongside. So having these sort of effects might play into drawing in that younger audience. Not that I think that Marvel realistically needs to try that hard to draw in audiences at this point. I mean, they're firing on all cylinders all the time. For me, they haven't had a dud in years. And judging by this trailer, I don't think they're going to be starting anytime soon. Next up, I felt like the interactions between Kamala and Zoe, who's the bully character, man, they felt real. Or at least, real in my high school experience. I know that Hollywood loves to show off the physical side of bullying with people being violent, or even just the Mean Girls side, where they actively bully people overtly. And whilst yeah, that stuff clearly happens at high school, I've always felt like the more common cruelty I saw was via passive-aggressive comments and mean whispers, laughing behind people's backs. And this all felt like it got represented here. First, when she pronounced her name wrong, and probably does it on purpose, considering how tired Kamala sounded when she corrected her, like they've had this interaction many times before, and then bullies her for her interests and fashion choices. But not using words, simply her tone of voice and her expression, clearly mocking in nature. I don't know, I just feel like it's clear that the writers do have some level of understanding of high school dynamics and don't default to the stereotypes that really got cemented into pop culture during those 1980s coming-of-age films. Don't get me wrong, those stereotypes are still true and have their place, but it's nice to see a little bit more nuance and modern flair here as well. I also really like that they're embracing her character's quirkiness. They aren't trying to make her be cool or badass or trying to present her in a way so she doesn't seem like a cringy, dorky nerd. Because that's exactly what she's supposed to be. Not everybody needs to be the classic Tony Stark Giga Chad, or even the nerd characters like Peter Parker that don't really feel like nerds in the context of the film they appear in. They don't feel like actual outsiders, merely attractive actors in their early 20s pretending to be unpopular teenagers with minimal success. But this character, and the world in which she's inhabiting, feels real. And thus, I find that she's actually quite a compelling character. And I really hope that they don't lose sight of that childlike wonder, or the fangirling, or any of those other interesting features that set her apart from other heroes in the MCU. Yeah, it's going to be a little cringy at times, but I think that is part of the charm. Part of her appeal is that the character truly is a teenage girl, and all that entails. Another element of the trailer I liked is they're not straying away from the character's heritage. She's brown, and she's Muslim. She has a cultural heritage that's different from a lot of other characters, and I'm glad they're embracing that. Yeah, you're gonna get those classic detractors that parrot weird-ass opinions like, a Muslim teenage dork? How can I engage with this character? She's so niche and unrelatable. It's clear that this show just isn't for me. And it's like, yeah, no shit, she's spotlighting a different ethnic group. Deal with it. There's plenty of white dudes prancing around in spandex already. But it's like, why can't you even relate a little bit? Everybody's been a teenager. Everybody has had cringe life experiences or had family pressures and struggles. I don't see why you can't apply her life experiences to your own and relate to her in that way. Characters don't need to be a one-to-one comparison in order for you to engage with them. Surely. Are you telling me no minority has ever been able to relate to Bruce Wayne / Batman, a straight billionaire white man? Because they clearly have. What a weird take. Anyway though, back on topic. Another thing of note is the hyper-focus on that attractive dude who's clearly way too old to actually be in high school. Them thirsting for him with his shirt off, her fantasizing about him on the hood of his car with roses. Ah yes, this is premium mid-2000s early teen TV. But yeah, anyway, this dude is clearly a fake-out character, right? I feel like by spotlighting the romantic interest she has in him this early on, they're pretty much guaranteeing that he's not going to be a lingering romantic interest for her. Especially since, spoiler alert, I'm pretty sure this dude is a villain. I'm not a huge Ms. Marvel buff, I'll admit. But I think this guy is an evil inhuman. So yeah, they're definitely trying to hide their big twist with this character. And at the same time, they sort of frame Bruno as the friend side character and chuck him in the background where you don't notice him as much. When based on the comics and just how these styles of shows usually seem to work, he's the far more likely choice as the endgame romantic interest going forward. So I just think it was quite clever how they did that. And then we come to the last thing I really want to talk about. The change in her powers. In the comics, she's presented as having inhuman ancestry with her powers activated by Terrigen Mist. Now there is a shot of some sort of mist coming at her in the trailer, but then there's also the emphasis on her bracelet, which in the comics I don't think has any powers. I think they were just a family heirloom. But here, it might be the thing that kickstarts her powers in the first place, and maybe it summons the mist and she gets her powers then. Either way, if they do away with the Inhuman storyline and the mist, I don't think I could blame them. Do you remember the Inhumans show? Yeah, me neither. And that's all you really need to know to see why they might want to distance themselves from that for the time being. Also to note was that her powers actually changed. I'm pretty sure in the comics her powers are just being a polymorph, which usually manifests in her being stretchy. But here, her powers seem to be a bit close to Captain Marvel. It's a bit of a divergence, but honestly I think it's a good idea. At a certain point, you're going to see Mr. Fantastic from the Fantastic Four join the universe. And you want Ms. Marvel to be able to stand on her own 2 feet and not have the exact same power set as this guy, but with less intelligence than him. It would make her feel less special. So I definitely get it. And honestly, I think only the really diehard purists are going to be angered by this shift. And then on top of that, Captain Marvel, Ms. Marvel. They share that Marvel name. So that means they'll probably interact. I mean, she's her biggest fan, isn't she? They will team up. It's inevitable. So, Ms. Marvel actually needs to be of use in these massive cosmic battles. Otherwise, why would Cap need help in the first place? It just wouldn't make sense otherwise. And so ultimately, I think it's the right choice. But yeah, that's really all I have for this one. And these have just been my opinions. And now I'd like to hear yours. What did you think of the trailer? How do you think things are going to play out? If you're familiar with the character, did you like the trailer, like the changes? I'm curious for your thoughts, so make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know.